Hello M2EP. This is your lecture for week 2, balanced diet, healthy or not. How much should we eat? Well, you need to eat more if you're growing, if you're a big person, or if you're very active. A balanced diet, a diet that has the right amounts of all the nutrients. This is the Thailand nutrition flag, and it shows that you need to eat a lot of carbohydrates, starchy foods like rice, and it tapers, it gets pointy, going all the way to the bottom, where at the bottom it shows oil, sugar, and salt, and it says to eat limited amounts every day. So we've talked about serving size, and we'll talk about it again in one of the slides coming up. So what do you need to know to read a food label and make healthy food choices? We'll go through all that right now. And here it is, serving size. So you can determine serving size by just using your hands. And if you take a look at the picture on the left, you'll see that one serving of vegetables would be 2 hands together, two cupped hands. And a serving size of rice is a closed fist, and a serving size of meat should fit on the palm of your hand, like the size of a deck of cards. A serving size of fruits, again, is a closed fist, and oil would be your thumb. One serving would be about that size, that amount, about the same, this size of your thumb, or 1 tablespoon. All right, so in Thailand, you'll see on food labels something called Thai RDI. And RDI stands for the recommended daily intake. A lot of times the RDI, in other countries, it's DB, which is daily value, and it's a percent. So it's the percent that you should eat every day of each of the nutrients. Okay, we're going to talk about calorie, kilocalorie, and kilojoule. So a calorie is the energy needed to raise the temperature of 1 gram of water through 1 degree Celsius. So 1 calorie equals 4.184 joules. And we call it a small calorie. Now, a kilocalorie is the energy needed to raise the temperature of 1 kilogram of water through 1 degree Celsius. And we call that a large calorie. Okay, kilojoules. Kilojoules are the amount of energy in food and drink and the amount of energy used up when we move around. So all day long you're eating, but you're also exercising, you're playing, you're walking, you're thinking, and that burns a lot of energy. So in kilojoules, a teenage boy should take in, and will burn 12,200 kilojoules a day. And a teenage girl should take in and will burn 9,600 kilojoules a day. So it's helpful to think of kilojoules as the way we measure energy, just like we use kilograms to measure weight. And the picture of the pink donut, I want you to be thinking about the pink donut. So that you eat that pink donut, you're going to get kilocalories and energy, and you're also going to burn energy throughout the day. And so that donut, taking in that donut and what we burn each day is 1,630 kilojoules. So are kilocalories and kilojoules the same? Well, the answer is no. 1 kilocal equals 4.184 joules. And again, this is how we can look at it. If you take a look at the drawing or the diagram, ingested calories. Ingested means the food that we eat and we take in. So some of the food that we take in is not used by our body and it leaves as waste. So it says calories in the pink box, it says calories not absorbed due to inefficiency of absorption process. So your digestive system doesn't take in all of that food. Now, the calories that it does take in into your bloodstream, we say calories absorbed. Some of that is converted to fat. The rest of it is used in daily functions, daily body functions. So that would be walking and exercising and thinking and breathing. And also some of that that is not converted to fats is calories expended or used to replace energy that is used through the digestion process. So that I just said a lot right there, but it all comes down to you take in food and you're burning that food throughout the day, and kilojoules are a measurement of the amount of food and drink you take in and also how much energy you burn each day. And so here's the donut, the pink donut again, expressed as kilocalories. So it's 407.5 kilocalories, and that equals 1,630 kilojoules using the conversion on the left in blue. All right, so reading a food label, we're going to go through this these 8 different areas here. Number 1 is the serving size. So the serving size for this package, there's 10 servings in the package. And the serving size of each is 30 milliliters. The serving unit, okay, average quantity, and the per serving, 1 serving, and then also they've listed it as servings quantity per 100 milliliters. So at this point, we don't know what this is. We're going to try and figure out what food item this is. Number 3 is calories. It's the energy. It's expressed as kilojoules, and again, the 2 columns per serving and per 100 milliliters. 4 is protein, the amount of protein. There is some protein here. Next is fat, total fat. Compared to protein, there's a lot of fat in this item. Now, if we look at what kinds of fats, we'll see that there are a lot of saturated fats in this, and there's a lot of cholesterol as well. 6, carbohydrate, some sugar, no fiber. 7, nutrients. There is a lot of sodium. 10 milligrams is a lot of sodium. The calcium is high, and the potassium is high. And 8 is the percent daily value. So the saturated fat is quite high, and the fats are quite high, 18%, and the cholesterol for 1 day is quite high at 7%. So looking through this, I'm seeing that this is some sort of dairy product because of the fat, the calcium is high as well. So that tells me that it's some sort of dairy. And my guess would be that this is butter, a small pat of butter, or square of butter. And the fact that it says it's servings per package, there's 10 per package, so it's probably a stick of butter that has been broken into 10 individual servings of squares. Okay, someone who eats too much. Obese, people that are very overweight for their height. Let's picture a boy and a doctor, and he is on the heavy side. Someone who eats too little. This is anorexia nervosa, and it's an eating disorder that causes a person to eat too little. And the picture is of a woman who is very, very thin. She is starving herself. Okay. So it's important to make healthy food choices to eat the right amount. And let's take a closer look at this. So, healthy or not? Salt. Too much salt in the diet can increase the risk of heart disease and strokes. So, heart disease and strokes, we'll talk about that on the next 2 slides. the pictures show there's a man. He is having chest pain, and in the middle is a picture of an item that we take in. We eat quite a bit, which is fish sauce, and also chips. Chips are fried. They also have a lot of salt in them. Okay, heart disease. Heart disease is heart disease. So what happens is a layer of fat builds up in the blood vessels. So you can see the arteries, veins, they are blood vessels. And you can see in the diagram that a very thick layer of fat has built up in the artery. So because of that, the heart has to work harder to pump blood. What can happen is that you could have a heart attack, and we would say that is called heart disease. Okay, stroke. The flow of blood to parts of the brain stops and brain cells die. So there are three different kinds of stroke. This diagram shows two of them. Stroke, the blood flow can be stopped for a short time or permanently if the blood vessel breaks open. So the picture on the left shows a blood vessel that is broken open, and we call that a rupture. And blood is leaking out into the brain tissue, because that tissue doesn't get the oxygen that it needs. That tissue around the rupture will die. And on the right, it shows a blood clot, so it's a fat buildup in a blood vessel, and this can slow down or permanently stop the flow of blood to that part of the brain, and again, those brain cells die. Healthy or not? So we're going to talk about sugar. And so too much sugar in the diet can cause tooth decay. You can see a picture of a girl and her young milk teeth. The teeth that you lose, that fall out, are rotted. She was eating foods that were too sugary, and maybe she didn't have good oral hygiene, which means she didn't brush her teeth very well. So it's important to make good choices and not eat too much sugar when you're young. So too much sugar can also cause an increase in weight. There's a picture of the boy on the bottom. He looks a little heavy, but he's got his hands up in the air. He's trying to make a choice between sweet cakes and donuts or fresh fruit. Need to eat more fresh fruit. And also too much sugar can lead to diabetes. So in children, the main type of diabetes is type 1 diabetes. And it has to do with something called insulin, which is a chemical. It's actually a hormone. And what it does is it unlocks cells so they can take in glucose, which is a blood sugar. So the insulin-producing cells, which happen to be in the pancreas, are destroyed. So there is too much glucose in the blood. Okay? There's too much glucose in the blood. And so because of that, you need to have your insulin through needles and shots. And you have to use what's called a glucose meter to test your blood throughout the day. And if your glucose is high, then you take an insulin shot. Healthy or not? Fat. Too much fat in the diet can increase both your weight and the risk of heart disease. This is a pretty well-known picture off of the internet. It's showing a really big boy. He's definitely obese, and he's at a fast food restaurant eating more and more. So fried foods. French fries, high in starch, and then they're deep fried, and so they have a lot of fat from the oils. So one of the last things I want to tell you about is not really mentioned in your book, but it's extremely important. Diet and exercise are linked together. And if you are active and you exercise 60 minutes every day, your heart's going to stay healthy, you're going to burn calories, you're going to keep your weight down. So it's important to remember to try and get 60 minutes of exercise every day as a growing child through your adolescent years. Okay. All right, guys, that's it for the lecture. I hope this was helpful. Remember to write down what's in blue, and I'll see you next time in class. Bye-bye.